Hello everyone, it's Chris Brian Barker again, and welcome to my tutorial on implementing a Swift APNs server using Perfect. Now in this tutorial I'm going to show you how to set up your own APNs server, including a way to log user device tokens and push custom messages. Now for those who are new to this, APNs stands for Apple Push Notification Service and is used when you want to send remote push notifications to devices using your app. Now first things first, I've set up a basic local instance of a Perfect web service. I'm not going to go into too much detail on this, but if you want a great tutorial, I suggest checking out Ryan Collins' YouTube channel. I'll put a link in the YouTube notes. He goes through this. He goes through the initial setup on most of his videos, which in turn are a real must-watch. So I'm just going to load up Xcode. Now, as you can see here, I've got my my project already all set up. I'm not going to go through typing the code out line by line. I'm just going to run through each of my class and my methods, explaining what I've done and how I've done the implementation. It's going to be a lot quicker that way and a little less boring, I hope, because there's quite a bit to cover. Okay, so basically what I've done to start with is I've created 3 different routes. First one is a push route, the second is a log device, and the second one is a list tokens. Now, when sending a remote push notification, you need to know the user's device token. So when a user launches your app, if you're all set up for remote notifications, you'll get the pop-up on iOS saying, would you like to send, would you like to receive push notifications? Click OK. And it's at that point we need to grab the user's device ID and fire that over to our Swift server, log that somewhere, and then it's at that point we'll then be able to grab that device ID, send that to Apple to send our push notification. So I think we'll start with that. What we'll do is we'll create a class where we can accept a device token, and we can log that into a database. So we've got this route here that I've created, which is log device, which is in my device ID handle class. So we'll just pop on down to that. You can see here now we've got the basic handle request, which comes in from the Swift server. And what I'm doing there is I'm just looking for a query string of device token, that's how I'm going to log it for the moment. I'm going to use query strings, and we'll pass in the device ID that way, or device token. It's the same thing. And at this point we'll grab the device token and we're going to add it to a database. So I've created a separate function for that. So we'll have a look there, it's just right there underneath. Okay, so what we'll do is create a new instance of SQLite database. And I've just created a little helper method there, which basically, as you can see here, grabs the database. I've called it APNs device list. And what we'll do is we'll insert into the database. I'm passing in the database name, so this can be reused anywhere. We're going to log the device token and the time. So as you can see here, we'll log the device token, which we'll pass in, and also the current time. And basically that's it. At that point we've now got the device ID logged in the database and it's there for us to use. So what I've also done, if we pop back up to the roots, you can see I have created a list tokens. This is just more for us more than anything. So we can actually see the list of device IDs that we've got logged in there. So we've pop over to my token handler class. All I'm going to do now is get a list of device tokens. So in here, we've got another class there, which is right underneath there. I'll pass in the database name. That's actually the table name, sorry, not the database name. Okay, we'll go into there, and all that does is that gets our database from our database location, our little helper earlier, as we can see there from our database. Where have I gone? Oh, I've just got lost. There we go. Select distinct device token from database name, order by time descending. So we've got the latest one. A little bit more later on as to why I've done a distinct. We'll explain that later. All we'll do then is we'll create a list. Return that, create a list, add it to an array, return that back up to here, and we'll just append that to the body string and of the response, and that should fire back out on the screen. Right, so let's take a look. Let's put a few breakpoints on and let's see what's happening here. So we're going to log we're going to start with, right, okay, we're going to log a device ID. So device token, so I'm going to start with Swift server. Hopefully it's going to run. Here we go. Okay, What was it called? It was called log device. Okay. So log device, as you can see, I've already got it there. Device token. Fantastic. Okay. So before we fire that, let's put some breakpoints on. Let's request handle. There we go. So breakpoint there. Let's go back to Chrome. Okay, and let's fire. Oh, yeah, looks like we got it. Okay, so device token. Let's pop down. Okay, brilliant. So device token, we've got to have a look what we've got here. Do we have it in there? Device token 1 value, and there it is. Fantastic. So we'll pull that out there, and let's have a quick look. Go token. Anytime today. There we go. Right. There's a device token. So we're going to add that to our DB. So we'll just pop into here. Okay. So we're going to insert that into the database. Nothing really much to see there in terms of debugging or stepping through. So we're just going to let that carry on. Obviously, past that. Okay, and we've logged it. We hope. So let's get rid of those. And let's pop down to our other class, which is our token handler class. We'll put breakpoints on there, and hopefully what we're going to do now is we're going to get the list of device IDs that we've got stored in our database. We're going to bring them back, and we're going to put them to the screen to have a look. So let's put a few breakpoints on. Yeah, why not? Why not? Why not? Actually, no. I'm just going to put one there. I don't really need to see one there. So let's go back to Chrome. For instance, it's still running. So log device. So this one's going to be list tokens. Okay, hit the breakpoint. Excellent, we're in. Okay, go to the next one. This is going to do the query. Okay, device token list. Okay, so PO device token list. What have we got? Fantastic. It's returned our device ID. Let that carry on. Let's go back to Chrome, and there we have it. There's our device ID logged and listed. Brilliant. So basically now we can log the device IDs, we can pull them out, and that's great. So what we can do now is, once we've got that, we can write a function which is going to allow us to fire them over to the Apple APNs server and basically send a push notification. So this is where it gets a bit tricky. Well, one thing I will touch on again very quickly. On the start of the server there, I created a function which created the database with names. So on the first instance it runs, it will create a database for me called DB device tokens. And this is just basic. These are the things I've picked up from examples on Perfect's website and other people's tutorials that I've just kind of put together. So just obviously I'm going to make all this available on either GitHub or my Bitbucket, and so you can pull it down, have a play, and you can see how it's all done. Okay, so we've got that, and that's great. Next, what we're going to do is we're going to set up an app in order to log a real device ID. So what I've done, as you can see here, I've created a test application, which is just a very, very basic iOS app, which doesn't do a great deal other than just show a page. But where the magic happens is inside here in the app delegate. So if we look in the app delegate and we pop up to application, did finish launching with options, I've basically set up how this is a basic implementation for setting up a device to allow remote push notifications. So notification type, we're going to allow alerts, badges and sounds. This is the setting the type there. And then you register user for notification setting using these. And then you just call a function register for remote notifications. And this is what gives you the pop-up on the screen that basically says, would you like to allow remote notifications or push notifications or whatever it says, and you just click yes or no. So once we've done that, you need to implement this delegate method. Did register for remote notifications with device token. And this is what gets called as soon as the app loads. Now, if you said yes to push notifications, this delegate method gets called, and in here is where you can pull out from the NS data your device token. Now, it comes through in some crazy format, and there's many different ways that you can strip it down, but I've just made it a bit old school, just by taking out the characters, replacing them with empty strings, and replacing the spaces with empty strings. And basically what that does is it gives you your device ID. So what we'll do then in here is we'll make a call, just a basic web service call, as you can see here. This is my Heroku instance, which we're going to test it out on shortly. And all I've done, as you can see there, is my URL, log device, query string device token equals, and then the token. And then from there, we'll log that to the database. So let's take a look. So what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to run the application on my iOS device. So just give me a moment while I just plug this in. Right, okay, sorry about that. I just had to go and grab my lead from downstairs. Right, okay, so that's my device now, all plugged in and recording. So I'm just going to go ahead and run the test application. Now I'm just going to make sure I've got my breakpoints on. Yep, still got those on, that's cool. So I'm going to install that for the first time. There we go. App's going to launch. There we go, and it hits my did finish launching with options delegate method. And so this is where we're going to set up the push notifications for the app. So we should see it appear on the screen. There we go, APNs test option, I'd like to send you notifications. Okay. I'm trying to click on the actual button there. I'm going to click on the device. Okay, right, there we go. And here we go, it's now hit the did receive remote notification method. So there we go, we're going to, now this is my URL I've already got set up on Heroku. For those who've watched my previous video, you'll see that I take you through how to deploy a perfect web server over to Heroku. I'm not going to go through that in this tutorial, but what I've already done with this application, I've already got set up and pushed to Heroku ready. So again, just like we did locally, we're going to log device with the device token query string, passing in the trimmed token, as we can see there. We've got the trim token, so it's 09F3A. Okay, so let's fire that across. Now, and that's done, dusted. Now within a look, that should have logged to our database. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab this URL. Okay, I'm going to go across to here. And let's do list tokens, which was the root that we created earlier. It's thinking about it, and hopefully we should get back the token we saw before. Waiting for Heroku to wake up. And a second now. Oh, this has been so slow. I promise you, this is going to work. We're not. Oh, there we go. Eventually, it come back to life. Fantastic. Okay, and there we go. We have our device token, and it's 09F3A. Yep, that was the token that was logged before, and that's brilliant. Now, so that's the unique token for this device. It's actually a unique token for the installation of the app on the device. It's not a unique. It will always stay that now for this installation, but if you delete and reinstall the app, I believe the device ID does change. So we've got that, and that's great. So what we're going to do now is we're going to send our push notification. So back over to the application. Just going to stop that now. Okay. Just going to close that. Okay, we're still recording. Yep. Okay, so back down to index handler. And okay, so let's go up to our routing. So yeah, we've got the push, and that's going to the index handler class. So okay, so I'm just going to take you through this now. Basically, what I'm going to do is pass in a message that we want to send as our push notification, the same way as I did with the device token. Basically, just going to pass it in a query string. Now, in the real world, you wouldn't do it that way. You'd have like a nice web form with a nice front end, and fill out some text boxes or what you wanted to say, and click send, and off it would go. But just for the sake of this this tutorial, I'm just going to keep it nice and simple. Again, Ryan Collins did a great tutorial on using HTML web forms with Perfect. So maybe if you're looking to go down that route, check out his video. Okay, so this is using a class called Notification Pusher, which has been created by the Perfect team as part of their library. Basically, what I'm just going to do now is just going to run through with you and a quick explanation of how you implement this. Okay, so first of all, you give yourself a configuration name for the push request. Now I've just put the bundle ID of the test app in, just to keep it nice and simple. Okay, next I get the message that I'm going to pass in as part of the query string request on the push route. So I'm looking for a parameter called message. Okay, a bit more on what we do with that later. Right, the next step is to add the configuration iOS. So we add the configuration name to this notification pusher. And in there, this is when we now need to generate the details on our certificates. Now, for those who've done push notifications before, know this can be a little bit of a tricky area. Basically, what you're looking for is two certificates. You're looking for a certificate file and a private key certificate. Now, there's various different ways you can generate these. I'm not going to go into too many details about this now, but if we just have a look at these two websites here, there's a Ray Wendelich tutorial and also a good one on AppCoder as well. And basically what they do is they take you through how to generate these certificate files required. Log onto your developer portal, create all the details you need for your app, set it up for push notifications, how to generate the files on your Mac that you need to upload, etc., etc. And when you've got to a certain state, also what I needed to do was, sorry, just one second. Also, what you needed to do is this. Now, I found this on Stack Overflow post. So the two files that we need in our instance is we need let's go back. We need a certificate file and a private key. So what I've done is, if you follow this tutorial here after you've got your surf file, it creates that into a PEM file by running this command. And then to get a private key from your P12 file, your P12 file is one of the files you'll generate in one of these tutorials. You follow this command, and that basically gives you two files. If we take a look here, I've got certificates.pem. Oops, don't want to see that. Certificates.pem, which is the certificate file, and the ck.pem, which is the private key file. And also here I log I set a password, which I would have set when I was generating the files. So all we do here is this little method here is called every time we send a push notification. So I'll come back to that in a minute. But basically, we set up the certificate, it reads this in, does a check to make sure everything's okay, and if there's no problems, we don't fall into the guard, and we should carry on as normal. So we'll come to the next bit, which is setting the development environment to true. The reason I've done that is because all my certificates I've set up have been done in a development environment just for this tutorial. So next step is then to get a list of the device tokens. Now all I'm doing here is just hooking onto the existing method that I created that we had earlier and just getting a list of device tokens. Push message, I'm just getting my push message together from the array of params that we got before from message. So that's my message is going to be on that we're going to use to send. And then all we're doing now, as you can see here, is iterate around the list of device tokens. Create an array of iOS notification items. First one being the alert body, and into the alert bodies we set the message that we want to send, and the second one is setting the default sound. Now the default sound is literally what it says it is. It's the sound that you hear when you receive a push notifications. You can override this in your app and set another sound. For example, some news apps over here in the UK have the jingle that plays whenever you get push notification. But for the minute, we just want the default for this. And then we create an instance of notification pusher. We set the APNs topic. Now I'm not 100% sure what this is for. I think this is just a generic can be anything name. I think this is if you maybe doing different types of campaigns or pushing for different. You could maybe push for a certain campaign, a certain type of push. So it's just a way of just kind of filtering out different type of campaigns. Maybe does this give us anything in here? Sets the APNs topic which views via notifications. Okay, so won't worry too much about that. Or is that to do with the configuration now? I'm not too sure. But anyway, we need to set one. So we'll just, again, I've just created it as the bundle ID. Push iOS is the method that's going to do all the magic. So configuration name we pass in, device ID, which is the device token, expiration 0, which means it goes straight away, and priority 10, which means it's at the top of the list, I believe. Notification items, yeah, we're passing this array, which we've set up before, which is the message and the default sound. And that's it, that's the magic, and off it goes. Now, we go back up to this here, which is the add configuration. This is called every time it pushes, this method's called. So basically, every time a push is called, it pops into here, and this is where it loads up the certificate files and authenticates them with the Apple APNs server. So, what's left to do now is let's give it a try. So, like I said before, I've already uploaded this to my instance of Heroku. So what we're going to do now is I'm just going to pop back over to here, grab my URL. I've already still got it in my browser. If we go up to here, oh, there we go, I've already still got it. Okay, and what I'm going to do now is push. Okay, as you can see, I've already been having a play. That's not going to work, and because we've not got the URL encoding in, which we need. So I'm just going to put that in there. Again, you wouldn't do it this way. You would do it through a nice, pretty front end, but just for the sake of the demo. Okay, and before we do this now, we need to actually get my phone set up. So we'll go to there, new movie recording. My device should show up. There we go. Okay, so let's go back here. Press enter. Okay, nothing back, message is gone, and there we go, boom. Hello from Perfect, fantastic. Push notifications are working. So I'll try it again, hello from Perfect 2. And there we have it, push notifications working using the Perfect web server. Absolutely fantastic. Right, and I think that's pretty much everything. So let's have a look. Have we got anything else to go back on? Okay, so like I said, we created the test application, which logged the device ID or the device token. I call it device ID, device token, I mean the same thing. Logs the device ID on our server. We then have a page that we can check the log device IDs. Brings the list back. Just going back down here, I did a distinct for the simple reason is every time the app launches, it hits that, it hits the delegate method, and as you can see in here, it will just constantly log the device token every single time, or device ID. What you could do is you could log a NS user default key, like I've tried to do here, push token logged, and you could just put the condition in up at the top here, which stops you from logging the device token over and over again. But obviously for demonstration purposes, it was I took that out just so we could show you logging the key, so I didn't have to keep clearing the key and going back again. Okay, just one more thing I wanted to share with you. If we go back over to the index handler, when deploying up to Heroku, I needed to make a few amendments to my make file, and basically it's for these certificate files. Now, I'm not too sure if this is right or wrong or not, but I needed to access the certificate files through the web route, because I needed a way to access these particular files in order for the use certificate file and use private key file functions to read them. So what I did is I just popped them in my web route, and what I did is if I go to here, And if we go down here, so for those who have set up the perfect server before, you'll know you need to, for copy files, set your product directory, subpath web root, and this is where you would normally copy your index.mustache file. All I've done basically is I've added in my ck.pem and also my certificates.pem. And then what I did is my make file, which I shall load up now. Okay, source, make file. Open with Visual Studio Code. And this is the make file that was taken from my previous tutorial example. There is the index.mustache web root copy, and all I've done there is I've just added the certificates.pem and the ck.pem as well. And it doesn't feel right to me, I must admit, putting certificate files in the root, but it's the only way I could get it to work. I'm sure there's a better way. If there is, drop me a note in the comments, I'd love to hear it. And that would be great. So, right, I believe that's everything. So, thanks for watching. I hope you've enjoyed this tutorial, and I hope it's been of some help to you. If you've got any questions or comments, feel free to drop them in the comments box on YouTube, or you can leave a comment on my blog, mrchrisbarker.co.uk. I'm regularly active on Twitter, so you can follow me on there as @mrchrisbarker. So that's it. Thanks again for watching, and I hope to see you all soon. Bye now.